Good day. We are here to report ecosystem interactions. Habitat is a place where living things live, typically a shelter or the place or type of place where a plant and animals naturally or normally lives and grows. Habitat, ito po yung tawag sa tirahan ng mga living organisms like plants and animals kung saan dito sila nag-grow. The good example is yung zoo. Yung Manila Zoo na maiko-consider po natin habitat kasi dito naka-stay yung iba't ibang uri ng hayop. Niche is the role of living things in the environment. It has three parts: finding foods, shelter, and mate. Niche is a role of species, place, and includes dito yung types of food it eats, where it lives, where it produces, and relations with another species. What are the niche's roles? The niche of an organism is the functional role that it plays within an ecosystem. The niche, better defined as the ecological niche, is determined by the biotic factors which comprise of living features such as animals, plants, and fungi, and abiotic factors. Ecological relationship. Competition is when organisms eat the same food. From the word itself, ito yung may agawan silang nangyayari between two organisms. Sa madaling salita, kinakain nila yung kauri nila. Predation is when one organism eats another. Tulad nga ng sabi ko kanina, ang isang organism po ay kinakain ang isang organism. For short, nagkakaroon ng killing sa process ng predations. And last is symbiosis. Is when two species lives together. Symbiosis, maiko-consider natin itong good interaction between two species. May reconciliation silang dalawa, hindi tulad ng unlike predation and competition. This is the three types of interaction between organisms. As we can see sa picture, predation, tulad nga ng sabi ko kanina, ang isang organism po ay kinakain ng isang organism dito sa predation. And then sa competition, dito sila nag-aagawa ng makakain, and symbiosis, ito yung parang friendly sila and may good interaction between two species, unlike sa predation and competition. Three types of symbiosis. Commensalism is a type of relationship where one of the organisms benefits greatly from the symbiosis. The other is not helped but is not harmed or damaged from the relationship. Commensalism. To understand more, it is a relationship between individuals of two species in which one species obtain food or other benefits from the other without either harming. To elaborate more, pinapakita sa picture na yung barnacles nakapag-feed sa whale, but the whale is not affected kasi maliit lang yung barnacles, which is maliit lang rin siya kumain. Parasitism. It's one of the organism benefits from the relationship but at the expense of the other. Kabalik rin ito ng commensalism. Nagkakaroon ng bias, which is the one of species is nagkakaroon ng benefits while the other one is na-harm. As we can see, yung tick is nag-feed sa blood ng cat. And last is mutualism. It's a close relationship where both parties benefits. Mutualism, parehas silang nagkakaroon ng benefit sa isa't isa. Tingnan po natin itong example picture. Yung flower and bee, parehas silang nagkakaroon ng benefits sa isa't isa nang walang killing na nagaganap. Food chain and food web. Food chain is a diagram that shows how food energy moves from one organism to another in a given environment. Food energy moves along the food chains when one organism eats another. Food chain, makikita natin sa picture, it begins with producers who make food continuous with consumer who eat the food and ends with the topmost predator. Kaya linear sequence siya kung tawagin because yung nutrients and energy is natatransfer from one to another. Food web. The natural interconnection of food chains and generally a graphical representation of what in an ecological community. In short, it is the totality of interacting food chain in an ecological community. Food web, from the word itself, web, it means maraming process na nangyayari. Just like what we see on the picture. Maraming dinadaanan na organism to another organism para makapag-feed or makakuha ng nutrients. And what is the difference between food chain and food web? A food chain follows a single path where animals discover food, but a food web shows different paths where plants and animals are connected. A food web comprises several food chains.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Igsoc. Now let's move to classification of animals according to their diet. So now let's start with carnivores or yung mga flesh eaters. Sila yung mga animals that feed only on animals. Example natin dito is yung Philippine eagle na kumakain ng monkeys, birds, foxes, and giant cloud rats. At syempre, meron din tayo ditong lions, snake, sharks, dog, and etc. And the next one is yung herbivores or yung mga plant eaters. Sila naman yung kumakain lamang ng mga plant. At ang example natin dito is yung cow, goat, horse, panda, carabao, and etc. So the next one is yung omnivores or yung mga mixed eaters. So omnivores are the higher level consumer that feed on both meats and plants on their diet. At ang example dito is tayong mga tao at etc. So classification of living things. In science, the practice of classifying organisms is called taxonomy. Taxis means agreement and nomos means method. So it is a science that deals with the discovery, nomenclature, or naming, description, identification, and classification or organism. And it is probably the oldest of all biological disciplines. So the modern taxonomic system was developed by the Swedish botanist Carolus Linnaeus in 1707 to 1788. And gumamit siya ng simple physical characteristic of organism para ma-identify and para ma-differentiate between different species, and it's based around genetics. And si Linnaeus ay nag-develop din ng hierarchy of groups of taxonomy to distinguish different levels of similarities. Each classifying group, called taxon, is subdivided into other groups. To remember the order, it is helpful to use a mnemonic device. So now let's move to taxa in hierarchical order. So the first one is domain. So domain is the most exclusive of all living, meaning it has the most number of individuals in the group. Domains are used to distinguish between the cell types, and in the case of prokaryotes, where they are found and what are the cell walls are made of. And the current system recognizes the three domains, which is ito yung bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. So the next one is kingdom. Kingdom is the domains are further broken into kingdoms. And the current system recognizes the 6 kingdoms. Ito yung eubacteria, Archaebacteria, Plantae, and Animalia, Fungi, and Protists. So the next division would be a phylum. And the next one is class. Several related classes make up in phylum. And the next one is order. Classes are further divided into orders, and the family are the next level of classification that orders are divided into our families. The next one is genus. Genus is the group of closely related species. The genus name is the first part of the scientific name of an organism. And the last one is species. Each species has the unique identifier that describes only the species. It is the second word in the two-word naming system of scientific name of a species. So here's are the three domains: the archaea, eubacteria, and eukaryote. So let's start with archaea. So it consists of archaebacteria or bacteria which live in extreme environments. So nabubuhay sila sa extreme environments. The kingdom archaea belong to this domain. And the next one is eubacteria. Consists of more typical bacteria found in everyday life. So nakikita siya in everyday life. So the kingdom eubacteria belongs to this domain. So bacteria and archaea are two domains that made up only single organism. These two domain, archaea and eubacteria. And the next domains is eukaryote, encompasses most of the world's visible living things. The kingdoms Protists, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia fall under the category. So here's are the 6 kingdoms. So let's start with Animalia. It is a large group that consists of eukaryotic, multicellular organisms that are heterotrophic in nature. As such, they obtain their nutrition from external sources. So ang animalia organism in the animal kingdom ay yung mga birds, fish, insects, and other multicellular organisms. And animals are made of animal cells that have nucleus cells. At ito rin ay tinatawag na eukaryotes. And also sila din ay mga heterotrophs because they feed or they eat food for energy. And the next one is Plantae. It contains almost 300,000 different species of plants. But take notes, it is not the largest kingdom, but sila yung very importante or very important one. In the process known as photosynthesis, plants are used the energy of the sun to convert water and carbon dioxide into food, sugar, and oxygen. Ang mga members ng plantang kinab ay mga trees, flowers, cactuses, and more. At sila ay made of plant cells and also are autotrophs. They make a food through photosynthesis. So ano nga ba ang photosynthesis? Ang photosynthesis ay it is simplest nature in photosynthesis. It is a process when the sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water ay mga ginagamit ng plant in order to produce sugars and also oxygen as its byproduct. Sugar, it is a type of carbohydrates. So the next one is protists. These kingdoms are the third or siya yung pangatlo. Was introduced at inintroduce siya ng German biologist na si Ernst Haeckel noong 1966 to classify microorganisms which are neither animals nor plants. Since protists are quite irregular, this kingdom is least understood and the genetic similarities between organisms and this kingdom are largely unknown. So, these organisms are microscopic. Ito ay mga matatagpuan sa mga pond water. So, and the fourth kingdom is fungi. Fungi are the organisms that obtain food by absorbing materials in their bodies. Mushrooms and moths belong to this kingdom. Originally, they were part of the plant kingdom, but were recategorized when they were discovered not to photosynthesis. So fungi, ano nga ba ang karakteristik ng fungi ng mga organism na under ng kingdom fungi? So they are eukaryote. Ibig sabihin meron silang mga DNA na enclosed sa mga nucleus and they have a membrane bound organelles. They are also heterotrophic. Ibig sabihin mga consumer sila na kumakain ng ibang organisms para mabuhay. Most of them are microorganism and too small para makita ng ating mga naked eye. Pero meron tayong mga kaunting species na mga mushroom. At fungi may look like one but they are not plant. Fungi get food from dead or decaying or yung mga nabubulok na mga matter. And bakit nga ba mahalaga ang fungi? Kaya mahalaga ang fungi dahil meron silang pinakamahalagang role sa ating mundo. Para ma-obtain or to obtaining the balance of life in the biosphere. So, at yung panglima is eubacteria. Are bacteria made up of small cells which differ in appearance from the organism in above kingdoms. They lack nucleus or cell organelles. They have cell walls made of peptidoglycan. So eubacteria, it is the also organism that live anywhere. And the bacteria cells are different from animal cells dahil wala silang nucleus cells. At ang mga walang nucleus cells ay tinatawag na prokaryotic. At yung pang-anim is yung archaea or archaebacteria. Bacteria that live in extreme environment such as salt lakes or hot acidic springs. These bacteria are their own category as detailed studies have shown that they have unique properties and features. So, siya ay similar to bacteria because both single cells prokaryotes and because both single cells prokaryotes pero ang archaea ay different chemical makeup than bacteria. And the third reporter is Mr. Driz.
Guys, our topic for today is the 9 major animals phylum and the classes under phylum Chordate. So let's start. The 9 major animals phylum with a total of 36. Number 1, phylum Porifera, approximately 10,000 species. The phylum Porifera comprises the sponges. Sponges are simple invertebrate animals that live in aquatic habitats. Although the majority of sponges are marine, some species live in freshwater lakes and streams. They are found in shallow ocean environments to depths as great as 5 km or unit km. All adult sponges are sessile, meaning they live permanently attached to rocks or other submerged objects and do not move about on their own. So, phylum Porifera is made up of sea sponge, which are stationary plant-like organisms we found in colorful coral reefs. But sea sponge are actually basic filter feeding animals, meaning they strain water in through their walls to capture food. They also have no definite shape, nor do they have a body cavity like the space our organs are contained in. They are simply made of a few layers of cells.
Good day. My name is J.E.Nepomuceno from BSCE 2C, and I'm going to present our last part of our report. Order under class Mammalia. From the order, Rodentia. Typical examples of these are beavers, mice, porcupines, and rats. Key characteristics: small plant eaters, chisel-like incisor, and the number of living species of this kind of this mammalia is only 1,514. Chiroptera. The example of this order is bats, flying mammals, primarily fruit or insect eaters, elongated fingers, thin wing membrane, nocturnal, navigate by sonar. That is the key characteristics. And the approximate number of living species is only 986. Insectivora, moles, shrews, small burrowing mammals, insect eaters. Most primitive placental mammals spend most of their time underground. Ibig sabihin, nagkaano sila na itong insectivora na to is nag-stay sila sa mga ilalim ng underground, mga palpo. And the approximately number of living species, 390. The next one, marsupiala. The example of this is kangaroos, koalas. Pouch mammals, young developing abdominal pouch. Hindi pagka nakakita tayo ng kangaroo yung anak nila na nandun sa tiyan nila nagtatag. Approximately number of living species, 280. Carnivora. Bears, cats, raccoons, weasels, dogs. Yan, sila yung mga medyo wild. Carnivorous predators, teeth adapted for shearing flesh ng native families in Australia. Sila yung may mga matatalas na ipit na talaga ng kayang pumatay ng kapwa nila species. And approximate number of living species, 240. Mas mababa siya kumpara sa mga kangaroos. Primates, apes, humans, lemurs, monkeys. Tree dwellers, large brain size, binocular vision, observable thumb, the end product of a line branch of early from other mammals. Approximately species 233. Artiodactyla, cattle, deer, giraffes, pigs. Hoof mammals with 2 or 4 toes, mostly herbivores, and approximately number of living 211. Cetacea, dolphins, porpoises, whales, fully marine mammals. Ito yung mga nasa the world marine, ito yung nasa mga tubig sa dagat, mga ganun mammals sila. Lagomorpha, rabbits, hares, pikas. Rodent-like jumpers. 69 only species. Unlike sa dolphins, 79 species nila. Suborder Pinnipedia. Sea lions, seals, walruses, marine carnivores, feed mainly on fish modified for swimming. Ito yung mga mammals na nasa tubig, then ang kinakain nila isda, hindi karne. Species 34. Edentata. Anteaters are armadillos, sloths. Toothless insect eaters, many are toothless but some have degenerate peg-like teeth. Species 30. Oh, wala palang ipin ng mga ganun. Tapos kung magkakaipin man, eh, yun. Siguro maliliit. Wala pala silang ipin. Then, Perissodactyla. Horses, rhinocero, zebras. Hood mammals with 1 or 3 toes. Species 17. Proboscidea. Elephants. Long tangled herbivores. 2 upper incisors elongated as the largest living land animal. Number of species is only 2. That's napaka-konti na. The next one, domain. Domain is the biggest taxonomic rank in the hierarchical biological classification system above the kingdom level. As you can see, ayan, makikita natin mas mataas yung rank ng domain kumpara sa kingdom. Kingdom is a taxonomic rank that is composed of smaller groups called phyla or division in clans. Yung kingdom, isa siyang parang community, small community na small community, small groups of animals. Phylum. Phylum is a level of classification or taxonomic rank below kingdom, above class. Yung pagkakarank ng phylum, mas mababa siya kumpara sa kingdom, pero above siya. Phylum is a level of classification or taxonomic rank below kingdom and above class. Mas mataas ang rank niya kumpara sa class. And mas mababa naman siya sa kingdom. Traditionally in botany, the third division has been used instead of phylum. The next one is class. It's just like classification. Kumbaga yung pagkakaayos ng depende sa category nila, depende sa characteristics nila. Order. Ito yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng bawat kung sino yung mauna, ganun order. Kung sino yung mauna sa depende kung ano susunod, depende kung ano susundin, kung characteristics nila, kung ano dapat yung mauna dun. Family. It's one of the 8 major of hierarchical taxonomic ranks in Linnean. It is classified between order and genus. A family may be divided into subfamilies, which are intermediate ranks between the ranks of family and genus. The official family names are Latin in origin. However, popular names are often used. For example, walnut trees and hickory trees belong to the family Juglada. Ito yung family, yung parang classification din, kumbaga sama-sama din ng bawat animals, mga depende sa characteristics nila. Genus. A principal taxonomic category that ranks above species and below family, and is denoted by a capitalized Latin letter. A class of things that have common characteristics and that can be divided into subordinate kinds. Species. And another explanation definition in genus is a client or group marked by common characteristics or by one common characteristics. Ano sila, nahiwa-hiwalay, sasama-sama sila sa sa pamamagitan ng kung meron silang pagkakamukha sa characteristics. Species. A group of living organisms consisting of similar individuals capable of exchanging genes or interbreeding. Species, ito yung yung pwedeng magpalitan ng genes, yung magbigay ng genes, yung pwede silang makapag-breed sa other species, yung hindi nila kapwa, yung pwede silang mag-breed kahit hindi nila kamukha. Human are tayo human. Yung meron the definition for human, relating to a characteristics of people or human being. Eukarya. Eukarya are organisms whose cells have nucleus enclosed within a nuclear envelope. Eukarya belongs to the domain Eukaryota or Eukarya. Animalia. The meaning of animalia is that one of the basic groups of living things that are comprised either all the animals or all the multicellular animals. Chordata. A large phylum of animals that includes the vertebrates together with the sea squirts and lacellates. Mammalia. The highest class of the subphylum Vertebrata, comprising humans and all other animals that nurse their young with milk secreted by mammary glands that have the skin usually more or less covered with hair. Ito yung yung mammalia, mga mammals, nagbibigay ng milk sa kanilang mga anak. Primate. A primate is a euterian mammal constituting the taxonomic order primates. Primates arose 85 to 55 million years ago, first from small terrestrial mammals which adapted to living the trees of tropical. One of these example of this are the monkeys. Doon sila nakatira, di ba, sa mga gubat-gubat, sa mga puno. Doon natin sila madalas nakikita dahil may sila doon sa mga sabit-sabit. Humanidae. Humanidae is in zoology one of the two living families of the ape superfamily. So the other being the Hylobetidae gibbons. Humanidae includes the great apes, that is the orangutans. Orangutans, genus Pongo, the gorillas, and the chimpanzees and bonobos. Ang karaniwan ng example para ng Humanidae is mga apes. Kaso ito yung mga apes na mga malaki, mga gorilla, mga ganun. Homo. Homo is the genus that emerged in the genus Australopithecus that encompasses the extant species Homo sapiens. Sapien definition or relating to resembling modern humans, Homo sapiens. It's more like humans nito, sapien. Then, that's all. Thank you for listening.